Have you ever felt like a total idiot in a Magento developer interview? Like when you were asked about some obscure jargon or gotcha trivia question that seemed to make the interviewer feel smart and you dumb? I'm tired of poor performing interview strategies, and I'm sure you are too. I'm here because I've had enough of interview processes that seem to totally miss the mark in identifying top Magento talent, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Let's talk about some of these Magento dev interview processes and analyze them. And then I'll be sure to give out some actionable tips for companies on how to improve their hiring processes. And if you stick around to the end, I'll also give some tips to developers on how you can flip the script and walk away from that interview feeling confident, even if you didn't get that offer letter. Hey there, fellow Magento enthusiasts. I'm Mark, a longtime Magento developer, solution architect, and teacher. If you've ever been through a technical Magento interview, you know they can be as nerve-wracking as deploying a site on a Friday night. I've been through all of the trenches myself, and I've seen it all, from those dreaded whiteboard algorithm questions to those rapid-fire, obscure, and nonsensical PHP compiler questions. But here's the thing. If interviews are supposed to find the absolutely best candidates available, why do they so often feel like a trial by fire? There's got to be a better way, right? There is, so let's get to it. All right, let's break down some of the biggest headaches in Magento developer interviews with real-life examples to paint a clearer picture of what's going on. Have you ever had an interviewer that seemed more interested in stroking their ego rather than assessing your skills? Yeah, I have too. Picture this, you're in the hot seat and the interviewer asks, can you explain the exact order of operations that Magento uses when processing checkout events? It feels like a pop quiz designed to really trip you up. And these roundabout questions on Magento's inner workings don't really feel like they're there to gauge your expertise, but to watch you squirm. It's not only disrespectful, but it also completely misses the point on what these interviews should be about, finding the right fit for your team. And then there's the silence after the interview. You've put your heart and soul into discussing your approach to solving complex Magento scenarios, and you leave feeling hopeful. And then what do you get in return? Radio silence. No feedback, no here's what you can work on, nothing. It's like sending a post request into a black hole. You know you sent it, but you're not getting back a response. It leaves you wondering where you stand, and it's downright discouraging to candidates. Picture this, you're standing there, whiteboard marker in hand, heart racing, and then you're asked to write a complex Magento module from scratch. This exact thing has happened to me. I remember one time when I was asked to outline the entire caching process on a whiteboard on the spot. Meanwhile, a panel of interviewers watch you like hawks. It's as far from your cozy dual monitor setup that you can get. It's unnatural, and frankly, it's not how we code in the real world of Magento development. And what's with that senseless trivia? I once had an interviewer ask me to name every single XML node that I've worked on within a di.xml file. What? Magento is so vast, and no one really expects you to memorize that entire schema or know every one of those dispatched orders in an event process. What matters is how you apply your knowledge to solve real-world problems, not whether you can recite the entire Magento certified developer study guide. Lastly, there's that dreaded take-home project. You spent your entire weekend crafting that perfect Magento 2 custom module, pouring your heart and soul into it to make you a prime candidate for the position, only to get an email that says, thanks, we'll be in touch. You're essentially asked to do free work under the disguise of an interview task. It's not fair, and it's not valuing your time. This approach not only leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but also makes you question the company's respect for its potential employees. All of these issues aren't just frustrating, but they're filtering out skilled Magento developers who could be amazing assets to any team. Have you faced any of these issues or any other issues in your interviews? Drop a comment below. Let's chat about it. Now let's flip the script and talk about how we can transform Magento developer interviews into something that we can actually look forward to, or at least not dread. First up, let's ditch that interrogation vibe. Instead, let's have a chat. A real-world conversation about real-world Magento problems. It's not about reciting facts. It's about how we think and solve issues. Let's discuss how we've tackled tough bugs or streamlined the checkout process, not which Magento command does what. Next, let's speak plain English, shall we? Not all of us have memorized the entire Magento glossary, and that's okay. The point is to understand how to use Magento to build great e-commerce experiences. So let's focus on that. How we use the platform, not whether we know the textbook name of every single design pattern. And here's a novel idea. If you're down to just a few candidates, why not bring them on for a day or two of real paid work? Treat them like a contractor. This way, they can get a taste of your team and the projects that you were working on, and you can see them in action. It's a win-win. No more theoretical what-ifs or nonsense. Let's see some live coding. Lastly, feedback is crucial. Whether it's a thumbs up or down, tell us why. It helps us grow, and it shows that you're a company that cares about Magento developers' careers and not just filling a seat. By focusing on these areas, we can make Magento developer interviews more effective, respectful, and even enjoyable. Now let's talk a bit about improving the interview process, and then I'll get to some interview tips for you Magento developers. Remember, as an interviewer, you're not just evaluating a candidate, you're also representing your company's culture. Start by setting a respectful and welcoming tone. Treat Magento developer candidates as peers, not as adversaries. Skip the ego-boosting questions and instead focus on facilitating or collaborating a discussion that truly assesses their skills and the potential fit. Clarity is key. Before divining the nitty-gritty, lay out the interview roadmap. Tell candidates what to expect ahead of time, whether it's tackling real-world Magento scenarios or discussing their approach to module development. When candidates know what's coming, they can better showcase their true Magento expertise. Remember that you're not trying to trip them up, but determine their real skill set. You can also ditch that obscure trivia. Instead, ask about their experiences with Magento. Have they integrated third-party systems into existing modules? What have they done in the past to optimize performance? What's the most creative and interesting module that they've ever built? These stories reveal so much more about their skills and how they've contributed to your team than any trivia question ever could. It's always a good idea to give candidates a moment also to breathe and relax and think. Rushed answers are rarely their best. A pause to consider the question can lead to more thoughtful and impressive responses, especially when discussing complex Magento issues. And if a candidate freezes up, you can even give them a helping hand to nudge them towards the correct answer without giving it away. Unless your team does daily whiteboarding coding sessions, let's completely skip that. Have candidates work on a laptop or in a familiar environment. This approach gives you a realistic view of how they'll perform in the actual Magento development work that they'll be doing. In the real world, developers have access to Google, the Magento documentation, and nowadays even AI tools such as GitHub Copilot. Let's see how they work in an environment that simulates everyday coding, and how they can use those tools to assist them in writing better code than they would have been able to do without those tools. Magento development is a team sport. During the interview, work through the problem together. This interaction can show you their communication skills, how they handle feedback, and their ability to collaborate, all of which are crucial to deliver a successful Magento project. A focus on collaboration and company culture is perhaps the most important thing than any other thing that you're looking for when hiring a Magento developer. If asking them to take a take-home project, show that you respect their time by paying them for it. This not only gives a positive takeaway for them about your company culture, but it also ensures that candidates are still motivated to give you their best effort. Why in the world should a potential employee work for free with no guarantee of a return? I'm not sure if I'd still be interested in a position if I was mandated to code up a module, only to almost assuredly be ghosted for it. At least by paying them for their work, you are reassuring them that they don't have ulterior motives in the hiring process, and that they'll probably get a response back for their efforts. And you always want to provide candidates with feedback, regardless of how the interview went. It's about respect and helping the Magento community grow. Specific, constructive feedback can even turn a rejected candidate into a future star who may one day be a perfect fit for your team. And now I'm going to ask you for some feedback. Before I get into the interview tips for Magento developers, did you like this video? If so, tap that like button as it really helps out my channel. I appreciate it. Now for all of you Magento developers out there gearing up for a potential interview, here are some pro tips to help you crush it. First, don't go in blind. Reach out and ask about the interview format in advance. Will it be more of a technical interview or more of a laid-back discussion about your Magento experience? Will there be live coding sessions on the call or a take-home test? How many people will I be interviewing with? Knowing what's ahead will help you better prepare and play to your strengths, and also possibly alleviate some nerves. Next, hit the books, or rather the forums and developer communities. Look up common Magento interview questions and then practice your answers. Think about the challenges that you've faced, the bugs that you've squashed, and the optimizations that made you feel like a Magento wizard. Those stories are your interview gold. When you're finally in the hot seat and a tricky question comes up, talk it out. Walk the interviewer through your thought process. It's like you're debugging a complex Magento issue. Sometimes the journey is just as important as the solution. Take things step by step and try not to overthink things. Interviewers are typically looking for a certain answer to a question, so try to think about what that question is asking for, and then the type of answer that they are looking for. It may not be as crazy as you first think it is. When you're in the interview, if a question is confusing or doesn't make sense, ask for some clarification. There's no shame in wanting to fully understand the question, the problem that they're asking about, and the answer that they are looking for. It shows you are thorough and that you care about giving the right answer, not just any answer. Along those same lines, if you don't know an answer, tell them you don't know it. Then ask if you can perhaps think through an answer and provide one, even if you think it may be wrong. If I was an interviewer and I heard this, I'd be pretty impressed with your honesty and look forward to hearing about what you can come up with and a solution through your thought process. If a question feels out of left field or irrelevant, it's okay to say so, respectfully, of course. You can also suggest an alternative question that may better demonstrate your Magento skills. Remember, you're evaluating them just as much as they are evaluating you. And after the interview, don't forget to send a thank you note to everyone that interviewed you along the way. It's not just polite, it's another chance to highlight your passion for Magento and how you see yourself succeeding in the role. Leave them thinking, wow, we need this developer on our team. And there you have it. Those are my tips for making Magento developer interviews a win-win for everyone involved. If you're doing all of these things and still hitting roadblocks, don't lose hope. Maybe it's time to level up your skills or adjust your approach. Check out my next video for some tips on breaking through in this Magento job market. And until next time, keep coding.